The game I'm playing in the background is Deadbolt. Game made by the people who made Risk of Rain. Great game. I highly recommend you buy it. In fact, check it out, even if it means cracking it. They honestly do deserve the recognition. Great gameplay, very hard if you like those kind of games, and amazing soundtrack made by the same guy who made the Risk of Rain soundtrack. So today I'm gonna try something different. I am going to call let me say that again. I am going to talk about Denuvo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It is it's known for the people who don't belong on the PC community. It is a DRM of sorts. Not a DRM, but how would I phrase it? It's another layer of protection on top of the DRM. So, it states here, it's Denuvo. I'm going to call it Denuvo because that's just the way I do it. Fuck you if you don't agree with me, that's the way. It is listed as Denuvo anti-tamper, or Denuvo simply. It's anti-tamper technology. It's basically designed to prevent reverse engineering and encryption of some sort, which is how a lot of the hackers and crackers end up cracking said games or programs or whatever. They reverse engineer it, figure out loopholes, blah 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 blah. I don't know. I'm not a cracker, but we've all have had our fair share of being a pirate. Okay. Now, being a pirate doesn't make you a bad person. No. I mean, sure, you are stealing from the company. I'm not gonna condemn that, but I am just as guilty as you are, per se. Do you download music? That's pirating. Even if you don't think it is a form of piracy, and it's probably the most common form of piracy. Now, me, the reason why I would do it, the reason I do it is simply, first of all, I am in my teenager years, so, I mean, I don't have all the money in the world. Trust me, I would love to buy a lot of the programs that I use, but some of them are way out of my price range. I mean, sure, I could save up, but at this current moment, I still need it. And the only way I have access to it is by cracking it. And I look forward to those crackers. No, I don't look forward. I look towards the crackers who provide that. Now, Denuvo, I believe it was made by the same people who made the Safe From. No, don't give me a sec. Okay, it was made by the former people who made Secure ROM and SafeDate. What they made was Secure ROM was a very, very popular form of DRM that was used in a lot of titles that we used before, like Windows 10. I mean, Windows 10 is not supporting anymore, and for good reason, because supposedly it has a big security loophole which could potentially damage your whole system if a hacker got through it. But it was hard to crack at the time. A lot of games had it. BioShock, Mass Effect, Spore took a while to crack, if I remember correctly, because it was the bullshit EA online only thing that a lot of games are doing nowadays, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. The Sims 2 had it, Dragon Age 2, you name it, a lot of games had it. But recently, Denuvo has put quite a scare on the pirating community. Per se, I mean, it's been not cracked. Well, no, that's a lie. It has been cracked. And it was cracked by one group that was part of the scene. The other was peer-to-peer group, 3DM. You might have heard of them if you keep track of this sort of stuff. They were the first ones to not crack it, but find a loophole around it. So they found a loophole in version 1 of Denuvo and version 2, They said they were working on version 3, which is what currently, at the time speaking, is Just Cause 3, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Far Cry Primal, the new Hitman. Apparently the new Need for Speed is gonna have it. I think that's gonna be V4 actually. But basically, it's put quite a scare in the pirating community, because so far it hasn't. After 3 and 3DM has given up on cracking it for the year, so they say. But shit. Apologies, I had to cough. Apologies for my voice. I have been sick lately. But basically, it's an anti-tamper, and the problem with this is crackers haven't found a way of getting rid of it. So, if you want me to elaborate, the scene is those big crackers. Not much of them left yet. So like Reloaded, Codex, CPY, Skid Row, Razor 1911. Ooh, I haven't seen for a while now. I believe they've disbanded. One of their rules for DRM is that it has to be completely removed. There's no circumventing it, which is what 3DM did. There's no loopholes. It has to be completely removed, which is why Mad Max, when V2 was still new, that's why was it Mad Max? No, it was Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight was cracked by CPY, like fully removed. I mean, obviously, shortly after Arkham Knight updated, despite it being a piece of shit on PC. It was a good game, but performance-wise, it was a piece of fucking shit. Anyways, that was the only game for it to be cracked, fully cracked. The rest have been added. The rest have been circumvented, except until now, the recent releases by four major companies. The majority goes to EA, of course, Ubisoft, of course, and Square Enix. Square Enix is the one who started to popularize it in Japan recently, because apparently, what was it? Some hentai games want to start using it now. Warner Brothers and Konami with Metal Gear Solid 5 on PC. Now, I know it costs a lot to use this, because it's the only one so far that's been able to stop piracy in its tracks. Doesn't necessarily make the game better in terms of selling, which is what a lot of companies blame piracy on, for making their games sell worse. Even though it's been it's been shown that those games aren't as good. If you look at Fallout, it was cracked because it had standard Steam DRM. It was cracked within, I don't know, an hour after release, because Steam DRM is very easy to circumvent nowadays. Any script kiddie could do it. But the whole idea is it was cracked, but it's still sold very well on PC. Now I'm not gonna look at the console figure numbers, because I'm not talking about that here. That has a whole different story of DRM. But the whole idea is, if you make a good game, people aren't gonna want to crack it. People are gonna want to buy it, or they'll crack it, sure, because the buy before you try thing. Not a lot of demos come out nowadays, so that's the only way of really trying, or borrowing the game from a friend, or I don't know, trying at a convention. I mean, I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons probably why you would want to try it before you buy it, but not a lot of games have shown promise. Like, say what you will, I didn't like Star Wars Battlefront, and a lot of people would agree with me. The new one, talking about that came out in 2015. A lot of people say it's a piece of shit, dumbed down, blah blah blah, but they had no way of trying it, and a lot of people got fooled into buying it, and they're like, oh, it's a piece of shit. So yeah. And then FIFA, I mean, Do I even have to talk about FIFA? FIFA's same game every year, just rebranded, in my opinion. I'm not gonna. If you like the game, I'm not gonna stop you from buying it. It's your own money. You can do whatever you want with it. And the new Hitman, I bought it personally because I liked it. I've always been a fan of the Hitman series. Need for Speed, I might consider buying that. Yeah, I don't know. The Mirror's Edge Catalyst, I'll probably buy it, but I own Just Cause 3. Moving on to a different thing. I own Just Cause 3. I bought it, what was it? Shortly after Christmas. And I'm like, fuck yeah, it's Just Cause. I've always loved Just Cause. I've been with it since the first one. I've loved the second one, played the shit out of the multiplayer. Not so much nowadays. But I was like, Just Cause 3, yeah. And it was a fun game. And it ran like a piece of shit on my computer. And I'm not saying I have a piece of shit of a computer. I mean, it has a 770 right now. I mean, it's 3 years out of date, but it still gets the job done, and I'm not looking forward anytime soon to upgrade. But I wasn't the only one who had trouble with it. A lot of people who had newer graphics cards, like the 980 Ti and 980 Titans aren't that new, but they're fairly expensive. They've had problems with it too, and according to them, they were way over the recommended system requirements. And yet it still ran like shit, and I don't know, let me check right now if it's gotten better with recent patch. It looks like it hasn't been fixed, and I mean, besides that, it could have been a poorly optimized port or something like that. That's very common nowadays on the PC market, which I am afraid to say is probably going to stay for a little bit. It ran like a piece of shit, and people who had AMDs completely got shafted because it didn't even work on their system. A lot of people had graphical glitches. It probably would, I think, if I can probably pull up a picture here, it was fucking triangles instead of actual textures and everything. And this has a lot of people started blaming Denuvo, and I do believe Denuvo is partially to blame for this, because it did have some controversy quite recently about it shortening the lifespan of solid state drives because of it constantly reading and writing excessive amount of data on the drive. And of course they claimed that it didn't do any damage. Denuvo, I'm talking about here. Denuvo didn't claim that. It claimed that it did no damage whatsoever to the SSD, which I personally think it's bullshit, because they're trying to keep the heat off their asses. And recently, quite recently, what was it? When did Primal release? And quite recently, Far Cry Primal was released February 23rd of this year, 2016. And guess what? It used Denuvo because it's by Ubisoft, and Ubisoft. But don't even get me started. Primal, I think it's a piece of shit. Just like 4. Well, 4 was a lot better. 4 was a lot better than Primal, that's for sure. But Primal was basically a cash grab. It should have been like what Blood Dragon was. A hell of a lot better of a game. Basically, a lot of people had trouble running it. Some people couldn't even start it. And a lot of people, once again, well, beside it being a piece of shit, and the port was probably a really bad piece of shit port, because Ubisoft's notorious for that, it is partial blame to Denuvo, I believe, because if you look at Total Biscuit's video with the performance and then the what the fuck is Far Cry Primal series, the WTF Far Cry Primal, he had the same exact problem. And if you watch his videos, you know his rig is definitely much better than mine. Definitely much better than most people's systems. He's got, what is that, $7,000 PC, while I'm just sitting here with a $1,500 one. Well, I mean, at the time it cost me $2,000, but now it's down to, I believe, like $1,300 because of, and hell, they don't even make my graphics card anymore, so actually might be more now. But he's had a lot of issues with that game too, being able just to barely run it at, I believe it was medium settings, and he should have been way above to run it at ultra, if not more, at 1440p, and he couldn't even run it at 4. Well, he could, but it was a serious frame drop. And I believe Denuvo was to blame for that too. So Denuvo's caused a lot of controversy because it has probably damaged it probably has impacted the performance of most games, and since it's very, very expensive to implement, to license it from them and implement it into your game, it discourages people, I believe, to stop making games because they're like, oh, Steam DRM is not going to do anything. Denuvo cost me an arm and a leg just to fucking use. Might as well not make a game. And sure, you might disagree with me, and I'm not. If you're making a game, I'm not stopping you from making that game. I'm not discouraging you. In fact, I encourage you to make a good game and don't use Denuvo, and then see that the sales figures are gonna rise without even cracking. Look at Fallout 4. Look at Risk of Rain. Look at almost any indie game. Minecraft. I don't like talking about Minecraft, but Minecraft, good example. What else? Was it? No. But you get my idea. Stop making shit games. Stop covering your asses. I'm telling you, AAA titles and some indie titles that are thinking about using it. Make a good game, and you don't have to use an expensive ass anti-DRM system, anti-tamper. I'm sorry. You can use a standard one, get it cracked. Sure, woo, you lose a few. You may lose a few thousand. I don't know, depending how well your game sells. Sure, you may lose a few thousand, but if you truly made a good game, if you truly believe you made a good game, you would probably gain all those sales back over time. What the problem with a lot of AAA companies is that they want a big payout within a short span of time. And that is a core problem with our market right now, with the gaming market. Hey, that's just my thoughts. Thank you for listening.